Hello, welcome to Revelator Alf. It's a radio podcast thing, and I'm coming to you live on this Wednesday evening here in the UK. It's 19:25 in the evening here in the UK, so a few stories to go through, but it's all about motorcycles. It's all about, well, what's going on in the world as well, and also, well, the story coming out of India is that there's a new Indian Harley-Davidson on its way, coming very, very soon. Very soon, in fact. So we'll have to see exactly what goes on. But let's just let's see what happens here. I'm just trying to get some of my websites up, and all of a sudden I can't seem to find them, which is a really odd thing. Let me just see what else is there. There we go. Right, let me just put that one on. Beautiful. Right. We are cooking on gas, as they say. I hope you're all well, everybody. The chat is open. Hi, Zaman. Hello. How are you? Thank you for joining. Have you seen Danny Trejo driving Harley-Davidson shop? I have seen. He's quite the Harley-Davidson man. He's more into the cars, I always thought. The bikes, I think he likes, but it's definitely the cars he's definitely into. But yeah, I've seen him. He definitely likes them. He's had a few of the local guys near to him from his old neighbourhood, I think, have built some for him as well. So yeah, he loves his bikes, but I think it's his cars he likes more and more. Anyway, enough of that. As if I know what I'm talking about here. I don't really. But anyway, listen. This is the radio podcast thing. It's all about motorcycles, motorcycle-related things. But actually, it branches off into other topics as well. You can support the channel by following along on any of the social media. You can just subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can just support by PayPal or Patreon. You can go to the website, revelatoralf.com. Lots of new blog posts there and stories there. Some of the stories I'm going to be featuring tonight are also on the website right now, so you can go check that out as well. The chat is open and in good effect. Jerry, good evening. And glad you are here too. I hope you're all well. So, let me just get onto the main camera so you can see me more. I hope you're liking all the monitor thing as well. Yeah, so a bit of difference going on in the background as well. So a few more tweaks to be done behind me, but anyway, hopefully that'll all work itself out in the end. Right, let's just get on to some of the things in the news right now, shall we? Okay, I'm just going to zip through some of these stories because actually the main story is a brand new Harley-Davidson that's just coming out of India, and they've got some spy photos on it, and there's a bit to talk about on it as well. Let's just talk about this. This is quite an interesting little innovative electric motorcycle scooter that's come out of a Swedish startup company called Stillride, and basically the company today have unveiled a final design price of this new electric ride, which is due to launch 2024, 15,000 euros. So expensive, right? Each customer will get a made-to-order motorcycle that combines looks, performance, and sustainability. And it's basically, they've dubbed it industrial origami, which applies to the Japanese art of paper folding sheet metal. The startup software first defines the geometries, and it just goes on and on. And I think it's some kind of well, they've basically done the entire process for Stillride 1. The entire process requires a single sheet of stainless steel as it's folded instead of welded. Minimal pollutants are produced, so it's like a green bike they've produced. Further to minimize environmental impact, the bike is produced locally from a small number of parts. It's also lightweight, which reduces energy consumption. It's an interesting look, I would say. This is like an little urban bike. It's an interesting look, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I think I mentioned this in a previous live show, talking about the types of electric motorcycles that you're going to see and the way they're made and the manufacturing of them is, there's going to be lots of innovations, and you're already starting to see of it, and a lot of it is kind of a little bit futuristic, already. Hex, hello, hey, what up, Berev from SoCal? How are you? And thank you for joining. So anyway, I just wanted to bring you this story. It's from thenextweb.com. Actually, quite a few other online publications have carried this story as well. This is Still Ride. They've come in next year. But all I would say is watch out for many other types of manufacturers, startup manufacturers, or maybe even established manufacturers that are going to start producing more likely to be electric bikes right now in a similar kind of way. Lots of innovation, lots of design cues. I mean, in many ways, if I look at it from the side here, it looks like a bit of IKEA furniture, if you know what I mean. So I look at it now. I'm looking at it. I think, there's a bit of IKEA in this. You know what I mean? It's definitely a bit of Swedish in there. So anyway, that's from Still Ride. So that's one. Okay, so the next story here, this is from, I thought it was quite an interesting one. Again, electric motorcycles, but this is from Africa. They're basically saying there, and this is from howwemadeItInAfrica.com. Yeah, that's a good one. This looks like it's almost like an Laverda tank, an old Laverda bike, but I think they're sort of retrofitting a lot of older bikes and putting electric motors in there, and it's all been done at a local level as well. So quite an interesting process here. A company called Rome, there's a ROAM. They used to be called Ofabus, and there's a Swedish Kenyan collaboration company founded in 2017 with a mission to implement electric mobility in emerging markets. So basically, Africa, would you believe, has actually taken on, or certain countries within Africa have really taken on the electric motorcycle movement. So watch out for that, for lots of stories coming out of there. But over the years, Rome have evolved to provide tailored solutions to meet market demand through business segments that today include Rome Air, a tailored electric motorcycle for Africa, Rome Transit, a segment focused on manufacturing public transport. So it's a big company, and they're specializing in those emerging markets in Africa. But it just looks as if they've taken a lot of design cues. There are lots of other companies, would you believe, in Africa who are producing electric motorcycles or small bikes for the African market, and it is an emerging market as well. And why not? Why shouldn't they produce their own projects as well? Okay, so that's that one. Here's another interesting one. You might have remember I said about Royal Enfield this coming year, 2023 and into 24. They've got certainly in this year, they've got a lot of new motorcycles coming out. And this is the Himalayan 450cc Adventure Tourer motorcycle has been coming out. Well, there's one on a test ride here. They've crashed it and substantially crashed it as well. So, whatever's happened here is taken one hell of a whack. But during testing, so why it was crash, exactly. He said that as of now there's no clarity on how the accident happened, but from the images it appears that a motorcycle crashed from the front. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But why did it crash? I think you got to put it down to rider error, you would have thought, or driver rider error, some kind of impact. I doubt this has got anything to do with the motorcycle, because they've been testing it quite extensively. That's not to say there isn't, but who knows? I mean, it's certainly caused a lot of damage there. Why a Moto? Looks like Harley purchased a bike design from a pretzel factory. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get on to that as well. But anyway, so more bikes coming out from Royal Enfield, but obviously they're in the testing of a lot of bikes, and a lot of bikes are coming out soon. Unfortunately, one of their test bikes has just crashed. Okay, here's another interesting one. This is from CycleWorld.com. This is about Moto Guzzi's liquid-cooled V100 Mandello engine. It's all new engine. It's not electric. They're saying, yeah, woohoo! So we've got innovating new engines. It's this is a really nice story actually, because it talks about the engine. It talks about it basically describes the engine. It's all new liquid cooled compact block, preserves a classic Guzzi appearance like the 60-degree block, meets Euro 5 compliance, makes 115 horsepower, 8,700 RPM. It says it's a broad haystack torque curve, peaking at 77.5 foot-pounds of torque at 6,750, and having 82% of that maximum available from 3,500. Guzzi tells us Mandello is sporty but comfortable, a bold character, and rich in torque. Curb weight is given at 514 pounds. In our two-wheeled world, there are a few classic designs that remain so popular with riders that cannot be abandoned. Amongst these are BMW's flat twins, Harley's air-cooled V-twins, and Guzzi's longitudinal crank 90-degree V-twin. Yeah, they are iconic bikes, and I think the engine looks good. Always looks great. I'm not sure about this Mandello. I've got to say, I'm not sure about if I like the flow of it. I've read some early reports of test rides on it, and it's apparently it's supposed to be fantastic. And we've got the next story here. Ewan McGregor, the actor who's been playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course, or the young Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's been on it, and he's also doing he's the ambassador for Moto Guzzi, is his favourite brand. He's done another advert for them, and he's just showcasing this bike as well. And of course, as you would imagine, he loves it, and I think there's a lot to like about it. Okay, if you, I'm skipping through these because I really want to, talk about the main. Story. Okay, so Norton Motorcycles, you may remember I said a few weeks ago that they're looking to open up dealerships, or start to open up dealerships in the UK and then possibly abroad as well. Well, they've just started to open them. The first one is out of the Bike Shed Moto, or Bike Shed Cafe in London, and then they're opening up other ones. Another one in London with the Indian dealership, Crazy Horse. There's another one up north as well. So I think there's one in the Midlands. So I think they've got about 4 or 5 dealerships which they're open up. This one they've called an atelier, which is the Norton Atelier, which is basically French for workshop. It's a bit. Already it smacks of a bit poncy, if you ask me. Oh yeah, we've got a Norton Atelier here. Why don't you just call it a workshop or showroom? It's just. Anyway, that's just me, that's just me. But there we go. This is so you can now go to a Norton dealership. And what they're basically saying, all the other articles, this is replicated all over. This is from uk.moto.1.com. But there's lots of online publications that are covering this story because it's quite big news, really. That you're going to be able to get the 961 Commando, order parts and accessories and service and everything like that. The V4 SV, and it's unclear whether the V4 CR, whether it's going to go through these means as well, whether you're going to have to go direct to the manufacturer when it's officially released. So right now it's a Commando 961 and the V4 SV, which you'll be able to get through there, and obviously have serviced as well. Now, what other dealerships are going to open up around the world? You would imagine the big markets, let's say like the United States, Canada, possibly Australia, maybe into Europe as well, but certainly right now it's UK first of all. I would imagine they would go into the United States, and as it does appear to be that they're setting it up as a boutique brand. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get into the Middle East, someone like Dubai or somewhere like that, to establish little dealerships there as well. But there we go. Okay, so that's Norton. Here, just a quick story. I'm going to brush over it. This is therealdeal.com. This is the maker of KTM Motorcycles, opens up a $53 million headquarters in Marietta in the United States. Includes 150,000 square feet of offices and R&D space near test tracks. It's a 28-acre campus in Marietta as well. So lots of investment coming from from KTM as well. So again, KTM are just moving higher and higher into different fields, racing applications, street riding applications as well. So they're already a big company. Obviously they've got Indian backers as well. Well, they're part backers, but they're owned by the Swiss company now called Perrier, or the Perrier group. They own Gas and Husqvarna, and so huge company now. Or KTM form a part of a huge company, and they just grown from strength to strength. Hey, no, Simon. Oh yes, got to mention you, bro. You know the Mercedes AMG cars and trucks. It sounds like a Harley-Davidson. The same sound effect. What I am hearing. I think they might be going to update the vehicles something different. When you're going to see these flying except cars and bikes flying in planet Earth. Well, hey, you never know the future. You never know the future of flying cars. Well, why Motor? We have a customer base that would be all over that bike. Yeah. Oh, the Norton. Yeah. Okay, so here's another quick story here. This is the story I covered also on the website a few weeks ago as well. Suzuki in Pakistan have closed down their factory. I've already reported that. Our factory now, it was supposed to have opened up on the 31st of March. They've now delayed it another couple of weeks into the 15th of April. Continuing supply chain issues as well. It's not only the motorcycle plant now they're closing down, it's also the car plant, and Pakistan apparently is in a lot of financial trouble in terms of their economy as well. Not looking good. Suzuki as a company, they're doing very well still, just like the other big Japanese, or the other three of the big Japanese four. They're doing exceptionally well, especially with their small CC bikes. But this plant closing down is significantly cutting Suzuki's reach in that region as well. So, interesting times for them. Okay, here's another quick story here. This is from Triumph. I've also got a press release from this as well. Triumph, they've just released this special edition Bonneville T120. It's because they've had a 10-year association with a Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, and the two brands kind of marry and merge with each other really, really well. So they've offered this as well, and it's actually on my website. I think I want to say £12,500 and so pounds for to buy one of these, and I think only 250 going to be sold around the world as well. Okay, here's another one for all you American motorcycle fans. Hollister, the Hollister Motorcycle Rally, obviously famed for its shenanigans of the past, of course, but they're saying that the Hollister itself, the town of Hollister, is not going to be hosting the motorcycle rally this year because they can't get enough security for public safety. And this is from the police chief, Carlos Reynoso, and it's quite a decent story here. This is from benitolink.com. Yes, it goes into quite an interesting one. I mean, I'm not surprised that quite a few rallies all over the world, or motorcycle events, I should say, are struggling. I've been saying this for a long time. And it goes in peaks and troughs. They have, you think they're bouncing back, and then something else hits them. And usually it's something to do with like insurance rates, or, local permits and stuff like that, which are getting more and more expensive, or more red tape to jump through, or more hoops to jump through. But here it's a case that there's not enough security that's, a classic thing. You need security or some kind of presence to be able to do it. And this is the report says, for the second time since Hollister residents approved measures T and U to continue to hold the July Motorcycle Rally, the Hollister City Council decision in a 3-2 vote on March the 6th to not hold the rally just might be its death knell. Council members Roland Resendiz and Dolores Morales voted to hold the rally. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because who was I listening to a few weeks ago? They were talking about the Daytona Motorcycle Rally, or Daytona Bike Week, and they said, how how poor it was, or how much they didn't enjoy it, and how much. Who was it? Whoever it was, they're basically talking about Daytona by week. They're also talking about the kind of the unfriendly nature of the authorities, there. Whereas you go to, and you said it's clear that they don't really want the rally there, and the town of Daytona, or the city of Daytona, is still going on. So it's almost like you're in. Everybody doesn't want you there type thing. Although it brings a lot of money in, people don't want you there. Whereas you go to other big rally sites around the United States, let's say like Sturgis or whatever, and it's, everybody's really pro. So this is definitely a regional thing. Some places, it's the same all over the world. They're very pro these things. They can see the benefit. They can see the benefit to the economy, and they can see, for the most part, yes, there might be mess and whatever, just like any big event. It doesn't have to be a motorcycle event, but as long as it's cleared up afterwards, But there's always going to be, people who are against these kinds of things as well. So hey. Watch that. What's this? There we go. Yeah. Anyway, right. So that's that. Let's have a look here. Right. So this is. Let's get on to the main story, shall we? The main story is. It's this. Okay, just rallying through or running through it tonight. I am. So I have an appointment. So I need to get to. So I just wanted to bring you this story. So it is going to be a short show tonight, but there's quite a few interesting stories. But say the big story coming in overnight, really, or the last couple of days, is that Harley-Davidson will be bringing out a new bike. But again, will you see it where you are? Just like the Chinese Harley-Davidson is only for the Chinese market. For now, right? You heard me say on many occasions that Harley-Davidson also entered another collaboration with Hero Motocorp from India. Okay, so now we've been waiting for the Harley-Davidson from India, the Indian Harley-Davidson, pardon the pun. Where is it? What's happening here? Right. This is various news outlets and various bloggers and various newspapers, online publications have been sent spy photos, grainy, black and white photos. You kind of think they've manufactured these photos on purpose, or the style of them, just to generate a bit of enthusiasm. One of the papers saying, look, we've printed off the leaked email or whatever it is. They say it's some kind of random person who sent it in. But anyway, so this is from Zig Wheels. There's also another one from here. I've just picked two. There's another one from motoringworld.in India, but zigwheels.com, another Indian publication. But basically, this is there. Hero Motocorp, Harley-Davidson, their bike, and they're basically saying, whilst the Chinese Harley-Davidson is a twin engine twin cylinder liquid cooled, they're saying this is a single cylinder, looks like air cooled and air oil cooled. It's got a twin shock setup, upside down forks at the front, a single disc at the front, a disc brake, and a big megaphone exhaust as well, which is a bit random. Quite angular kind of fuel tank as well. Looks like LED lighting all around. A single round digital display, instrument, clock as well. So it looks pretty good. I mean, there are kind of similarities here. There's a bit of Honda CMX 500 there. There's a little bit of the Chinese one there as well. But I think they've kind of taken a little bit of inspiration from different quarters, and let's face it, they produce enough bikes of their own to have their own sort of design influences as well. But does kind of look a little. Now this is just the basic bike, right? There isn't anything else on here. There are no markings, but you can imagine there's going to be lots of Harley-Davidson markings on there. Maybe Harley Hero type thing. Who knows? We actually don't know really what it is. But you can see here the single disc at the front, upside down forks. And you know, now the question is why have they released this? Why have they released this? You know, why have they released the footage, or what? Sorry, not the footage. Why have they released these spy photos? What's the purpose of it? There are other photos here on this other publication. This is more of it here. You can see that. This is what was on the thumbnail to the live show tonight. This is them just chatting away about the bike. And there you go, a bit of a tail piece here. You can see it's a really big exhaust bike. It kind of does stick out there as well. But it kind of does look nice. I kind of like this little, just at the rear seat there, there's a little kind of, what's that, racetrack, of a small racetrack style tail light as well. So, you know, a couple of LED tail lights, or sort of indicator lights as well. Yeah, it looks all right. Nice chunky fat tire at the back. It looks all right. Now let's get into some of the what they believe are some of the specs on here. Right, so I probably should show you what I'm looking at. Yeah, sorry, that's me. I'll show you all the images again now. Okay, so right, can we see that now? Right. Basically, this is from India. These are the leaked photos, and this has all come from Hero Motocorp themselves. Well, on their test track within their big compound, right? And this is they've got now. Who's taken these photos? Why they've taken these photos? This is like a strategic thing to release information. I've got many of my issues, or sorry, many of my conspiracy theories and say, well, they do this on purpose. But there we go. Yeah, brown green. Can we please see it? Yeah, no images show. Once every year he has a screen share. Yeah, that's pretty much the size of it. Anyway, so this is it here. You can see single disc at the front, whereas the Chinese Harley's got two twin disc setup, upside down forks, single cylinder at the front. It looks like an air oil cooled, and a big megaphone cannon of an exhaust. Single round digital display at the front. You can see this big megaphone here at the tail section there, the exhaust. Quite a big fat chunky tire as well. Nice little LED light in tail right at the back of the seat there. It's quite nice. I actually quite like that. And some LED. Well, I'm imagining that it's going to be LED turn signals here as well. There we go. Some more light. I mean, there it's kind of, there's lots of similarities with the Chinese Harley, I've got to say. That sort of scramblery type seat, that kind of flat trackery sort of style. There are elements of it. There are definitely elements of it as well. Let me just show the other images here as well. This is from the other one. You can see where I said it's more like there's a bit of Honda CMX 500 in there a little bit. With this tank, I would say, and the way it sort of sinks away down to the guy's knee there as it's just up by the tank. I say the headlight, yeah, looks all right. In India, just below the headlight, you might see that horizontal bar. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure they have a forward number plate, a front number plate as well. I think that's where that is attached. I could be wrong. Anybody listening to me? It's got cast wheels. Looks like quite nice. One of the reports was saying that the cast wheels are just so it looks like a bigger American Harley-Davidson, if you know what I mean. But there we go. And the photos are an interesting one. If I go back to this other one here, on the license plate at the back, the number plate, it actually says HD4XX. So the question is, are the people who took these photos, are they just having a bit of fun with everybody? As I say, well, what is it? And this is where I mean. Now, I think these are officially leaked photos as well. But HD4XX, right? So What does this all mean? Well, some are saying, well, basically Hero motorcycles have already got a 400cc, and that is going to be powering a lot of their upcoming motorcycles. So they say, well, it probably should be the same. It could be, actually. This is 440cc single cylinder with oil cooling as well, they're looking. And then they go on to speculate how much involvement will Harley-Davidson have with this motorcycle. You would imagine quite a bit of involvement, especially if they're going to be putting their name to the bike as well. So, an interesting thing. There aren't many, obviously, because it's all speculation right now. They don't really know exactly, what any of the specifications, but they're kind of looking at the photos themselves. Again, as I've already said, single disc at the front, upside down forks. They're all talking about the size of this exhaust. Why is it so big? Typical Harley-Davidson cues seem to be subtly but liberally applied to the motorcycle. Bar and shield logo will feature heavily. Yeah, as I said, it really depends what Harley-Davidson trait will be on this bike as well. Twin rear shock absorbers for suspension. Yeah, it's saying here Seat tires or Chiet tires. I assume that's an Indian brand. I've not heard those before. And Bybree brakes. Bybree brakes. I've never heard of those either. But it's got a dual channel ABS as well. It's got a chain drive to the rear wheel, no belt drive, it's okay. This one here is this article is kind of mocking the whole Harley-Davidson with the external push rods as well. But there we go. Its lighting seems to be all LED with HD branding likely to feature throughout. A neat single pod digital meter show clean and uncluttered layouts with a fuel gauge, an odometer, clock, speedometer, digital tachometer marked until 8,000 RPM, which might possibly rev a bit more. How did X get so close to this bike? X as in whoever took these photos. And this is why I think, well, you can't be some random person with a telescopic lens. This is actually somebody who was there, right there. Now, whether that person is no longer with the company for whatever reason, who knows? But there we go. But as I say, this is it's an interesting thing. They go on to speculate. The last bit about the pod, though, tells me that this motor will lean heavily towards low and mid-range performance, something that makes sense as its expected appearance in Hero's dual-purpose motorcycle as well. This is the engine. It also fits in well with HG's overall image that's built around feel-good torque, and if it's happy to sit calmly between 120 and 130 kilometers per hour with a top speed around 140 kilometers per hour. I don't see anybody complaining. I mean, what's that? I've got to do my maths now. What's that in miles? Anybody? No? Let's look at this. Hold on. There we go. Speed, velocity. What's this? 140. No, get rid of that. 140. Crikey. 140. There we go. 140 is 86 miles an hour. Yeah, 186 miles per hour. Let's just do that. 120 is 74 miles per hour. 75. Yeah, 75 miles per hour. Thank you, Jerry. So at minimum 75 miles per hour. I think for a 400cc, 75 miles per hour, I think that's perfectly fine. I think there's no issues there at all with that. You know, especially on good roads. Great. I mean, many of the roads in other parts of the world, and dare I say in India, but hey, dare I say even in this country, are pretty crappy as well. So, I would say if it can achieve that, fine. And then they go on to talk about the looks. They talk about it's a bit generic. The front three-quarter, third quarter is definitely the best angle of the bike. It does evoke a popular spirit of the Sportster. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, so and they're all definitely aiming at the Royal Enfield, their big rival in India, the Royal Enfield 350s, and obviously the TVSs of this world. So they are, and Bajaj, the other Indian motorcycle manufacturer, are aiming to make bigger motorcycles as well this year. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of competition, but we can't also forget that it's not just the Indian brands that are selling bikes in India as well. The Japanese motorcycle brands, there are Chinese brands there as well, but you've got that Honda 350, yes, Brown Green, the Kawasaki 400 that they've been released as well. There's lots of bikes out there in this kind of CC range that is they are ready. They are ready for ready to come onto the market and attract a lot of buyers as well. Now the question is, will these bikes ever come to market in in other countries? Well, many of the bikes that are sold in India, you would think that would do well in other parts of the world, especially if cheap to buy, cheap to run, and if they could be sold that they would be compliant with the laws of other countries, then you kind of think, well, yeah, okay, why not? But the problem is that they're not sold. It's pretty much Royal Enfield, the ones that are the best exporter of bikes from India. So if you're looking at the likes of this bike and you say, well, actually, is it just purely for the Indian market? I've got a feeling this isn't. I've got a feeling this may be the one that comes to other parts of the world as well. Brown Green, yeah, Royal Enfield is developing the 450cc liquid cooled. Yes, the one that I showed you earlier on that they've crashed as well in there. Andre Bribery on Royal Enfields as well. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I hadn't realised that was the name of it. Yeah, but thanks for that. Haida, hey Revlov, have you heard and watched Harley and the Davidson, another TV show that you might have seen, or probably not? Harley and the Davidson, yeah, it's a mini series. Yeah, that came out a few years ago. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. Sorry, I've missed a couple of messages there, but look, it's an interesting one. I think I think it's in the same flavour of the Chinese Harley Davidson, in that small CC motorcycle. They've got a mix of sort of old style and new styles with it, a bit of new technology, mixing new with a bit of old. It could sell really well, and again, with a lot of these things, it comes down to price. Are they going to be able to produce it cheaply enough, and will it sell in their domestic markets? The thing with these, that they're probably looking at the Harley-Davidson Hero, the Harley-Davidson, QJ motor from China, as being the premier motorcycle for that market. Or they would try and sell it as the premier motorcycle, the premium brand. And I've already seen it advertised like that. These for the 400 cc's in those market, or 350 cc's, 500 cc's, they are going to be known as the premium brand. So, but if you try and bring these bikes over to Europe, let's say, or over to the United States, they're not going to be regarded as premium brands or premium bikes. They're going to be regarded as cheap, or inexpensive, affordable budget bikes. They're not going to be premium brands. So again, it really depends how much they're going to be sold for. If these are going to be in the same kind of pricing as, let's say, a Royal Enfield, or a Royal Enfield 350, not only in India but also in Europe, for example, then I think they'll find a home. They'll find a market for them, definitely. And what I've seen here, just these pictures. Let me just put these pictures back up for you again. There we go. These. Let me see if we can get a better picture here. I don't think. There we go. That's better. I don't think it's a terrible looking bike. I like the bars in it. They're kind of sort of not moto bars, but yeah, almost similar to moto bars, I suppose. I like the headlight with a little bar going across it. Yeah, I like these upside down forks. I like the general flow of it. I like bikes with twin shocks anyway. I like twin shocker bikes. Yeah, it looks like a decent bike. It'd be interesting to see this bike, from the side profile, a proper picture of it from the side profile. I think that would make it, that would make it. You could judge it a lot better in that regard. Let me have a look on the other picture here as well. Again, this dash, very similar here. You can see it's got the Harley-Davidson on there as well, and the bar and shield there as well. On the clock. I can't see any Harley-Davidson logos on the actual bike itself. That's a bit of a closer picture. It's very, very grainy images here. So, as I say, I don't know if these are manufactured to look that way. I've got a feeling these are manufactured to look that way. Grainy pictures have a tendency to be not very uniform. Let's put it so. This seems to be very uniform. So I've got a feeling these are done in-app on a phone or something like that. In-app graininess, or Lightroom. Put a Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom afterwards, and add some effect on there. But it looks. Again, it looks all right. As I said, I think this is going to come down to price really, and I think it's going to come down to whether anybody's going to want to buy it. Brand green, no. It looks as if they're speculating. No, it's air cooled, air oil cooled. It looks like it. You like twin shockers as well. I do. So, are bikes becoming smaller? No, we're just getting bigger. The bikes are definitely getting smaller. There is, I said a while ago that this kind of 300 to 400 to 500 cc market now is getting very, very big. There are lots of bikes, lots of good bikes, lots of decent bikes, both on-road and off-road, street bikes, scrambler type bikes, whatever, in that sort of 400-500 cc bracket that are very, very good. More than most people will ever need, really. And I think, if you can have something that's a little bit on the more premium side, in inverted commas, but you could also have something that's on the very much the budget side as well. Let's just see what it says here. The images show the bike bearing the HD4XX license plates, hinting at the engine displacement, which could be around the 400cc here. 400, 450cc, 440, whatever. Interestingly, this engine bears no similarities to the Harley-Davidson X350 from China. Unlike the liquid-cooled parallel twin on the Sino-American bike, or the Chinese-American bike, this appears to be an air oil-cooled single. This is very strange, considering that the X-Pulse 400 and the Extreme 400S sported liquid-cooled units. These are Hero bikes as well. Another giveaway that this is a different engine is its 8,000 RPM rev ceiling, which confirms that the bike will have a different bore and stroke compared to the upcoming 400cc Hero bikes. So they're speculating that it's going to be more. So the other article was a 440cc as well. So, UT headlight with DRL bar bearing Harley-Davidson branding. There's also a TFT console, which looks minimalist and crisp. Upside down forks. Here we go. More here. So there are braking duties taken care of. Axle by Brie calipers. Interesting, the bike uses Seat Zoom Cruise tyres seen on the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. Okay, same tyres as there. The front tyre is 100 and over 90. Likely with an 18-inch alloy wheel, while the rear is 140, 70, 17. One. Where they've got they've actually to zoom in, I assume, unless they've got insider information there as well. Look, all I would say is that this bike looks, I would say it looks quite decent. I'm just looking forward to seeing better images. If you compare these, this is the X350 that's obviously gone to the Academy of the United States and being sold in China. just by the look of it, of what you can see, I think I prefer the look of the X350. But again, it's very hard to say really until you actually get a really good look at it. I think the X350 kind of looks more flat trackery the way it should be, if you know what I mean. Whereas this Indian Harley, the Hero Harley, does look a little bit more generic, I've got to say. But there we go. Anyway, listen, that's it for tonight then. That's it. It's basically a brand new motorcycle, as been predicted by me for a long time, or as the news I've been bringing you for a long time, that, yeah, Harley-Davidson, they're going to be bringing out more small displacement engine motorcycles, this time in collaboration with Hero Motocorp from India. The plan is still to bring out more bikes from this collaboration. I believe it's up to 10 motorcycles between 2023 and 2024. That's 10 brand new motorcycles between Hero and Harley-Davidson, and I believe this was confirmed about 2 months ago from the CEO of Hero, who kind of sent an email saying that this is all happening. That's what got everybody talking about it and everything like that. Whether these bikes have come to different markets like the United States or Europe or whatever, again, I've said this before, I think they would sell well. I think, it all comes down to price point, costing. If they price them exactly the same or even cheaper than the Royal Enfields, which are doing really well in these markets, I think they've got a winner. I honestly do think they've got a winner. So, and baby Harleys, the Harley-Davidson name still carries a lot of weight. And if people can buy cheap, affordable Harley-Davidsons, yes, they might be Indian, they might be Chinese, but I'm still a great believer that they would sell. So there we go. SDFL, the 1955 Sony TR55 transistor rated from Japan doesn't stand a chance in the world market. Cheers for the first look. Thank you. Right, anyway, guys, it's been emotional. All I can say, thanks for watching, and I catch you again on another video live show coming very, very soon. Right, I really must go. Football to watch, Catch you again. Ta-ra.